Hey YouTube, in this video I'm going to be doing a deck profile of my I guess rebuilt Silver Thorn Beast Tamer deck. So this one is replacing the Nightmare Doll deck that I put up earlier. Nightmare Dolls, really the problem was that I was running, it was kind of a budget deck. Some of the cards are kind of hard to find, but they're probably easy to obtain. The problem with it was all the 10k Vanguards. I didn't like that. Since I wasn't running the Nightmare Doll Alice build, I was actually doing Nightmare Doll Chelsea and Nightmare Doll Carol. With Brenda and as many Nightmare Dolls that do not rely on Nightmare Doll Alice, which wasn't really working too well in the long run. So took that deck apart, rebuilt this deck as Beast Tamers, and that's what I have now. So Beast Tamers are a lot more fun. They do give you access to Legion, as you can see with Cracking Beast Tamer. Still a pretty strong Legion. The only problem with Legions like this is that you kind of end up using this effect later in the game when you can no longer stride, or if you just can't stride because you don't want to pay the cost, you don't want to discard more than one card. Like if you have a 2 and a 1 or 2 2s, you don't want to give those up. So in this case, it would be better to Legion. So Cracking Beast Tamer is still relatively good. The only thing I don't like about it is the Legion mate, the Tiger, can only work when your Vanguard's in Legion. So it doesn't work with Stride, and that's kind of not so great in this format. Next, I'm running Bunny Queen Beast Tamer. It's really the best backup grade 3, and it doesn't fail if you have to ride this first, because you can still do Stride. Nice thing about it is when you place it on V, you can search your deck for a card and put in the soul, shuffle the deck. So it sort of mitigates the blind soul charging that Pale Moon suffered from, similar to Dark Irregulars. I noticed that they are starting to fix that. They're starting to bring the ability to search specific cards and put them in the soul. That's because kind of realized that, I guess Bushiroad and the developers of the game realized that blind soul charging is not good, and that's the reason why Pale Moon and even Dark Irregulars in Genesis had a lot of problems. Any soul-based deck really had problems keeping up with decks that could consistently call, like the Paladins, for example. So those are the grade 3s. Grade 2s, for Card Dealer Jacqueline. She's your main rearguard that you want to run a lot of, at least 3 copies, so that you can call as much things as you can once you've strode at least once. Because sometimes these won't work, like sometimes you can't, this won't be in Limit Break, or there just won't be enough Beast Tamers worth using the effect. Or you may have already used the Legion skill, so Jacqueline really helps you replenish the field, and potentially even get extra attacks in as well. Next, 3 Sinhalite Beast Tamer. Sinhalite Beast Tamer. I'm not sure how to say the name. Halite or whatever. Anyway, this is the Beast Tamer that can be a 12k with GB1 when it swings to a Vanguard. So it's a natural fit in a Beast Tamer deck. It works well with Bunny Queen Beast Tamer. If you have this on the field, and her, that's like 2 calls from the soul. I kind of wanted to run 4, but I don't like that it's only 12 when attacking to the Vanguard. It's not 12 attacking to rearguard, so you can't form like 19. You can't easily form 19k lines and stuff like that against rearguards. Next, 3 of the Barking Sky Tiger. 3 because I refuse to run 2. I don't really like this card that much anymore because it's Legion restricted. It would be amazing in Stride format, but I could see why they've restricted to Legion. Otherwise, this thing would be way better than the Silver Thorn one, and everyone would be running this with Magia. So, yeah. So 3 Barking Sky Tiger, still relatively good strategy to get decent attack numbers on the Legion turn. So 3 of him. And then the last card, last grade 2, is 1 Misdirection. The last grade 2 slot can be really anything you want. It can be a 4th Tiger, it can be a 4th Beast Tamer, it could be a Superior Interceptor, really anything. It could even be like 10k, although I don't understand, I wouldn't really recommend running just one vanilla 10k, because really you want to run like 3 of those if you're going to actually run with the 10k vanillas. But 1 of her, because she can call herself out, so you can, like on Legion, you can call a total of 3 instead of 2. Combos well with Purple Trapezes and other stuff like that. So it's a pretty solid pick in my opinion. Otherwise you can go with whatever you want. It's kind of that extra tech card. Next, 4 Darkside Mirror Master. I wanted to build a deck that actually utilized this. The problem with Nightmare Dolls was they weren't very counterblast heavy. So this was pointless. I was running Hades in there. So Mirror Master's in here because Jacqueline will be counterblasting a lot. Cracking Beast Tamer is counterblasting 2 when it does it, and then the Bunny is counterblast 2. And then you have a couple of other, like Harry, the Stride unit, and stuff like that. So it's pretty good in here. And also, there are not a whole lot of rear guards worth protecting because you can just replenish the field from the soul. It's unlike Silver Thorn where you really do want to protect your lions. And then 3 Purple Trapezes. Originally I was running 4 of her, but I found that in the new Stride format, she is not all that useful anymore. She's kind of situational. She works really well with the Tiger when you're in Legion. The same way Zelma does with the Lion and Silverthorn. But being a 6k, I don't really want to run more than 3 of her. So I couldn't really justify running the 4th one. And then for Beast Tamers, just for the Bunny Queen and just to keep in line with the Beast Tamer theme, 3 Obsidian Beast Tamer. So these cards are really easy to get for the most part. Even this thing, and I believe the Legion probably isn't even worth that much anymore. It's just a little bit harder to find compared to other cards. But these are mostly, like, this is a trial deck card. I'm not sure about Purple Trapezes, but even if you can't find Purple Trapezes, you can just put in like some kind of 7k, maybe a 4th one of this, and some other stuff. Next to Jumping Glen, because Jumping Glen, when it's called from the soul, it's a 10k, so it can be a 10k attacker, or it can be a 10k booster. I like to put it behind this, so that this can swing 22 to the Vanguard. It also works with the Tiger when you're doing the Legion play, so Jumping Glen is a pretty solid card, just 2 because it's relatively easy to cycle and pull this out of the soul with Purple Trapezes and other stuff. And then finally, 2 Egg Juggler. You can run 1 Egg Juggler, and then you can also run the 1 Bunny, which has the same effect as Misdirection. I was thinking of trying that out, but what I found is Misdirection is just good enough. I don't really need the random 6k coming out of the soul, because it's hard for it to hit proper numbers. I may try it back again, but I do like having the more likelihood of being able to use Egg Juggler's skill to Soul Blast 1 and draw what it's called from the soul. So I also didn't want to spam the deck with too many 6ks, because that can run into problems forming correct number lines on turns where you're not doing your big power plays. So 3 Purple Trapezes and 2 Egg Juggler was, I think, the maximum for the 6ks that I wanted. So that allowed me to put 5 6k grade 1s and 5 7k, plus the Sentinels also being 6k, but those are a different story. So I think that's a pretty decent grade 1 and grade 2 lineup for the trigger lineup. So I did mention this card. People did mention this card in some of the other decks that I did, or that I showed earlier. But I am running now. I am trying Prankster Girl of Maryland. Originally I was running the Amethyst Beast Tamer, which was the Flame of Victory clone. It was a stand trigger with the Flame of Victory clone, or Flame of Victory's effect, that I was using because it had Beast Tamer in the name, Amethyst Beast Tamer. What I found that is not really all that needed, especially since I'm running Poison Juggler. But this card is pretty good. The only thing I don't like is GB1 restricted, and you do tend to do a couple of... well, I take that back. I think it being GB1 is not that big of a problem. However, like if you do Legion first, for example, and you soul charge this, then this won't be able to do anything because you won't have GB1. So that's like the main situation that I can find is not really working. But other than that, it's a pretty decent stand trigger. Then just 4 more critical for a total of 8 critical, 4 stand, and then 4 heal, and then Happiness Collector. I'm a big fan of the 4 stand, 8 critical. You notice a lot of my decks feature that trigger lineup, because I think currently, especially if it's a deck that's really, like, it has the potential to hit large numbers on rearguard lines, does have issues dealing with decks like Kagero and Link Joker, where stands kind of fizzle out there, but at least the stands now have pretty decent effects, in my opinion, like, for example, the Angel Feather one, and this one, that can justify their place in the deck. So that's pretty good that they're doing that. Plus their 10k shield compared to Draw Trigger's 5k shield. So yeah, so Happiness Collector doesn't use any counterblasts. Relatively good star that you can use multiple times. Assuming that your opponent doesn't have a way of getting rid of it, but sometimes you'll be up against decks that will be able to kill it off. So that's the main deck. For the Stride deck, it's pretty self-explanatory. 2 Dragon Master Amanda. You only really need 1. Then 4 Curtain Call Announcer, Mephisto. This is probably like the best Stride unit that Pale Moon has right now. That's actually pretty consistent. Then 2 Lunatech for the 1 Lunatech play that you can randomly bring out in the middle of the game, like as second Stride or third Stride. And then from there, it's really up to whatever you want. I know this is 8 cards, but they did bump up the Stride deck to a higher number now. So of course I have my 1 Harry, which is kind of like a game ender, and then 2 Clifford, and I actually just kind of left my Silver Thorns in there for like G-Assist fodder or whatever. But yeah, when G Guardians come out, the Stride deck will get even more cards. And I'm not sure yet if I'm going to use the Fighters Collection one. Depends on how many of those I pull and how much money it is and stuff like that. But right now, for long term, I'm looking at this being the majority of the Pale Moon Stride deck. So let me know in the comments what you guys think of the Beast Tamer deck. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.